not
Mm-hmm.
on Linux much.
Correct,
So
correct.
yeah, yeah, so something like I need. That's what I was thinking to go through. So basically, I have like 20 plus years of experience, and
In
I
Microsoft
started my
technologies.
yeah. So I started my career with .NET, and then I switched to Dynamics
Mm-hmm.
AX. That's a ERP
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
package.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm a solution architect and looking at pre-sales and all. So my client requires OpenShift, and so that's why I read through OpenShift and installed the CRC container,
Mm-hmm.
but not much. So basically, that transition in Dynamics X, I mean, whatever the microservices and container Docker, all those development effort, that track I lost there. So I need to rebuild my skill on basically the development from development side. So that's what I'm trying now. Yeah, so you can say like so in AX and also I was leading the team and mainly collaborating design side of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this is like a and that was a big company, and now I'm in a smaller client. So
Mm-hmm.
which I mean sometimes they may ask to fix something, and I should know at least the tool. That's my objective, to have like OpenShift knowledge, at
Mm-hmm.
least to collaborate with different people. We
Mm-hmm.
have separate OpenShift team, and they are installing, but as a architect team, you need to oversee their technical details, and that's where I thought like, okay, we need to take a course and go
Mm-hmm.
ahead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So overall, what I guess that like the concept of OpenShift, Docker, container, and all those things, right? I mean the technique,
Yeah,
the.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know the context, but never explored into detail.
Okay, okay,
Um, uh,
okay. So the
yeah,
technologies, what is the Docker and what is container and all those things, right? The
yeah,
application
yeah,
development, all those things. Okay, correct. No, not a
yeah.
problem, right? We'll explore here in this training, right? Okay. So
Yeah.
what in DO188 actually, right? Hannah? So 188 especially we can say before we have a 180 and 188 is a separate one, right? Now 180 is
Mhm.
expire. Okay. Now we have a 188, right? So that we can say
Yeah.
it's like administrator first part where we can learn how we can deploy our application with the help of podman command or we can say Docker, right? By default,
Mhm.
in the this training or Red Hat training, when we talk about the Red Hat training and all those things, right? We preferably talking about the podman. We'll discuss that what is podman and all those things. But now, just simple treat that podman is just same like a Docker, right? So in the
Yeah. Yeah.
188, what we are going to do here, we are going to simply talk about how we can create, manage, maintain our containers with the help of Docker command, or we can say with the help of Podman command, or we can say how we can create and maintain one containers, right? Or we can say
Mhm.
multiple containers, right?
Mhm.
Managing the
Yeah.
volumes, we can say the persistent volume, the networking, the environment variables, and then exposing those things. A lot of things we have that with the help of in this 188, we'll discuss that, right? And for the
Okay.
installations and all those things, if you want to deploy your OpenShift cluster, we'll discuss in the 280 because installation is not inside a 180, 188. But
Yeah.
again, if you need, then I'll give you some documentations that are officially contained, right? You can go through and then check all
Yeah.
this content, not a problem.
Yeah.
Correct, right? So these
Yeah.
like officials ebook, right? I'll share with you, not a problem. Or when your lab is activated, then you will get download this ebook for for solo uses, right? But no worry, I'll share with
Yeah.
you, not a problem, right? So that we can say is like a developer first part where we can talk about the containers, right? How we can manage, maintain containers with the help of podman command, right? So before start this
Okay.
podman and all those things, right? What we have actually and why this technology is used mostly in all the we can say the in giant companies and all those things to specially deploying applications, right? So when we're talking about the deploying applications or installing an application, we have like multiple way, right? Either you can deploy
Mhm.
or install your application over the physical machines, either you can deploy over the virtual machines, either we have a containers mechanisms. Correct, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when we're talking
Yeah.
about, yeah, so when we're talking about the traditional way to deploy an application, so what we have that, similarly what we have a hardware, right, we can say,
Mm-hmm.
and over there we have our operating systems, that could be your Windows, that could be your Linux, and all, any OS that could be, okay. And over
Mm-hmm.
there what we have, that we have an applications, that's a point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that what we can say, these are your traditional way, right,
Yeah.
to deploy your applications. Traditional method to deploy an application. Okay, now, so the same, we have a hardware OS and applications, that's depend on you. If you want to deploy multiple application, then again you can deploy or you can install multiple application over the single operating system, right? But what problem we are facing, that if any application goes something like they occurred some problem and all those things, so that could be problem with another application as well. So what we need, that we want to independent, or that could be deployed separately applications, right? So in that
Mm-hmm.
case we have another mechanism, we can say the virtualization method, right? What we have that, next we have a virtualization method, right? So in this method what we have exactly, right, again we have a hardware, these things we required, right? So we have a hardware, over there what we have, that we have an operating system, right? And then what I need, that I need a hypervisor, something hypervisors, right? So you know the
Yeah.
hypervisors, right, that
Yeah. Yeah.
split physical devices into virtual, right? So that could be anything, that we can say a hardware hypervisor, that could be software. When talking about the software hypervisor, what we have, that like we have VMware application, we have a like virtual box, right?
Yeah.
Virtual box, and in Linux we have a KVM, in Windows what we have, that by default we have a Hyper-V. Okay, so these are like hypervisors. So these tool allow to create or to run multiple operating system over a single hardware or over the single OS, right? Because you know that we cannot directly install OS over the OS. So what I need, that I need any mediator. We can say we have a hypervisors, right? Now this
Yeah.
hypervisor, that could be anything, we can say like VMware or and anything. So now this hypervisor allowed to create number of virtual machine, we can say these are our VMs,
Yeah.
right? Now so over that VMs, what I can do, we can simple install our application. We can say in VM1 we have app1, right? Then we have app2 and all those things, right? So these like
Mm-hmm.
a process, and these like a way where we can deploy a independent operating system, where we can install independent operating system, and inside that we can create number of VM1, VM2 and VM3 and all those things. Clear with that, right? So in that
Yeah.
section, if anything goes wrong, let's suppose if anything goes wrong, right, then what we have that, then all the applications should running fine, it's not impacted with the another applications, right? But in the case of physical, what we have that, if let's suppose we have like a 1 and 2 and all those things, if anything goes wrong in the app 2, that could be problem with the app 1 as well, that could be problem in the physically,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now,
Yeah.
so in that case, what we have exactly when we're talking about this environment, in the case of virtualization, we have option for independent deploy and operating applications, right? But what process we have that, and how we can manage those things. So what they recommend, we need that type of mechanism where we can rapidly deploy an application, we can delete, create, manage, maintain with the help of any single command and all those things, right? So in that case,
Yeah.
we have another mechanism, we can say a container method.
Yeah.
Which method we can say? A container method, right? So these mechanisms allow to rapidly, or we can say quickly, deploy or launch or create an applications, right? So what environment we have that, again, so we have again, we need a hardware, so we have a hardware, right? Over the hardware, what we have that, we have we have an operating system, correct, right? And
Yeah.
now what I need, that we need some engine, we can say container engine.
Yeah.
What I need, that we need a container engine, we can say container engine, okay? So that engine could be your podman, or that could be your Docker,
Okay.
right? So we can say
Yeah.
again, we have a two things. We have a Docker and then we have a container, right? So what Docker and Podman? So we can say Docker and Podman are a command or tool, right, that manage your containers. And what is container then? We can say it's like a box, we can say, for the non-technical word, that store everything. Everything means all the file system informations, inode structures, everything, right, that
Yeah.
help to build or run your application or your OS, right?
Yeah.
So what I need, that I need some container engines. Now this, with the help of this container engines, we can create multiple what? Multiple containers,
Yeah.
right? So what we have, that we have a hardware, OS, then we have a container engines, right? And now with the help of this container engine, what we can do, we can create multiple what? Multiple containers, right? And each and every container has there some application, we can say app and app 1, app 2 and app 3 and all those things. Clear?
Yeah.
Now, so
Yeah.
what, so yeah, so now the next what we have, that how we can define the differences between that, we can say, with the in the virtual method in the container, right? The same thing in the virtualization, what I need, that I need some hypervisors, right, that allow to run your to run your VM at the same time over the single hardware, right? Similarly, in the case of here, we need a container engine, right?
Yeah.
In the case of VM, we need to install a complete operating system,
Yeah.
right? In the case of container, it's not required. Only that file is required, only that binary required, that help to build your applications. We don't need required,
Yeah.
or we don't need to install a complete operating system. In the case of
Yeah.
virtualization, we need to specify, or we need to fix the hardware resources. We need to specify, right? We need a 2 GB of RAM and all those things. We need to fix, or we need to specify those resources to the particular VMs. In the case of container, it's not required, right? All the container
Yeah.
using the same hardware resources,
Yeah.
right? In the next, not in this course, we have option, if you wanted to specify some limited resources and all those things, we can do that. But what the default properties of the containers is, that all the container over the same OS using the same hardware resources, that is managed by your kernel and your operating system, or we can say managed by your container engine.
Yeah.
Clear with that? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are some environment, right? To similarly, we can say, to deploy our applications quickly and all those things. What I need, that we need some podman, or we need some container engines mechanisms. With the help of that, we can create containers. Containers, we can say, is like a combinations of your OS plus application, or simple your OS as well. Okay, that's a
Okay.
process,
Yeah.
right? So these are some theory what they are mentioning when we're talking about those. So we have some small point of view of the container and all those things, but we'll discuss about the lab and all those things. So these are our environment. Okay, these are
Okay.
lab. We'll discuss the lab now. So jumping on the first chapter, what we have there, simple, they're talking about what is container and all those things. Okay, so if you notice now, we have this environment. These like a traditional a deployment
Yeah.
environment, and these are like a containers. What I need, that similarly, we have a OS, or we can say we have a like hardware, then we have a OS and all those things, then we have all the application. Similarly, what we have there, we have a hardware, OS, and then we have a container, and directly we can deploy an operating systems, right?
Yeah.
Another word,
Yeah.
we have another example. I'll show you the some. We have another example as well. I'll show you some differences. Is that just a second. I think I have an ebook for the same. Just a second. Okay, so even though it's the same, if you wanted to verify some differences, I think this is like a basics things. I think you know those concepts, but I'll let you know quickly, right? So these are
Yeah.
some environment. Let's suppose when you're talking about the differences and all those things, that's environment, right? What we have that virtualization method and then containers method, right?
Hmm.
So in the virtualization, what we have, that we have a OS. I'm talking about that parameter. Like we have a OS, right? Then we have a hypervisors, right? And then what I need, that I need a OS, guest OS, we can say VM, and inside that we have an applications, right? In the case
Yeah.
of container, what we have that OS, and then we need some container engine, and that we can deploy on applications, right? And these are some differences.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
virtualization, what we have that enable multiple OS to run simultaneously on a single hardware with the help of hypervisor. So hypervisor divide hardware into multiple VMs, multiple virtual hardware system,
Yeah.
allowing to multiple deployment and all those things, right? And
Yeah.
require a complete OS installations,
Yeah.
right? When we're talking about the containers, what we have that run directly on the OS, right? Sharing hardware resource across all the containers and all those things, okay? So this enable two
Yeah.
applications stay lightweight and run safely in the parallelly, right?
Mhm.
Share the same OS kernel with this all those details and all those things, and they require a fewer hardware resources than the virtual machines, which also make them quick to start and stop, right? So these are some differences
Yeah.
about the container, all those things, and with the help of this mechanism we can do that now. So
Yeah.
next point we have that the podman and then Docker. So earlier we mentioned that both are a command that manage the containers, right?
Yeah.
Docker we can say is like open. We can open source. We can use any kind of platform. We can say over the Windows and all those things. Podman basically our recommendation is that use over the RHEL based machines, right? That is
Yeah.
maintained managed by Red Hat actually, right? If you are using a
Mhm.
RHEL based OS and all those things, so what they recommend, use a podman command, right? So both are a command that manage your containers. And container, what we
Yeah.
can see is like a box, it's like lightweight applications, right? That store all the information that help to build your application or that help you to run your operating system,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So one main difference is that podman in Docker, what we have that podman is not required any daemon to run those services. In the same way, Docker required a daemon. It means if you if you wanted to manage your container with the help of Docker command, the Docker service should be active and running,
Okay. Yeah.
right? In the same case, podman is not required. So it's like a daemonless service. Which one? We can say a podman, right? But both are
Okay.
same, command remains same. You can use like podman ps, to still you can use docker ps, command remains same. So only difference is we
Mhm.
can say like a lot of difference, we'll discuss that. But now for podman, I mean docker required a services that should be active and running. In the other hand, we can say podman is not required,
Mhm.
correct? Now,
Okay.
so there's like some differences about those particular environment, right? And now the next what we have that when talking about the containers and all those things, right? Earlier we mentioned that containers use the same hardware resources across all the containers, whatever you're using or this, right? So similarly, when we're talking about those things, right? So might be in the interview or somewhere ask that, right? How your applications or how your containers work for the same, right? So we can say your containers, or we can say Docker, another way we can say, is works on kernel three features, right? We can say what containers works kernel three features, three features, right?
Mhm.
So what we have that the first thing we have a like namespace. The first thing what we have a namespace. Namespace is nothing simple. We can say is like feature name. What we can say is like your feature, right? That provide a unique name or ID to your containers and containers images. Correct?
Mhm.
Right? So
Yeah.
namespace. Second, what we have that we have a C group. We can say a control group. It means what? It means we have a lot of containers, right? To provide a proper, or we can say fair resources to all the containers that is managed by your C group kernel feature. It means every container have a proper CPU, memory, and disk utilization, all those things. If something required, then we can share with them, right? To
Oh,
managing or
okay.
to maintaining your to see, control group and all those things, I mean simple. Kernel use the C group feature, or your container use C group feature from your kernel, from your
Mhm.
containers. Then third, what we have that SLNX, right? We can say that is for the security. It means every container have their unique context, right? To access, to read at something, we need to specify the SLNX policy. We'll discuss that, but for now, we have a policy that is built inside your OS level. If you learn those things, so that works on those things, right? The namespace, what we can say, this feature provide a unique name to your containers. C group provide a proper or fair resource allocations to your containers, and SLNX, what we can say, that provide a security to your containers.
Yeah.
Done, right?
Yeah.
So that's a point. Now, the next what we have, that is like some theory part. Now, the next what we have, if you wanted to create containers, right? Now we have some terms, right? What we have, that we have a container images, right? So what is that container images? Simple, we can say it's like a same your ISO images, or we can say just like we have a raw images that help you to deploy or install your operating system, right? In another way,
Yeah.
the same, we have a container images, just like a we can say it's like a template, just like a template, just like a pre-inbuilt and install, no need to install from the scratch. In the another hand, when we're talking about the ISO image and all those things, we need to start, we need to install from the scratch. We need to set like username, password, times, and all those things, right? In the same case of container, it's not required.
Okay.
Clear with that, right? So we
Yeah.
can say we have
Yeah.
a container image, just like a same ISO image, but it's like a more lightweight than your traditional OS.
Yeah.
Done. So container images. So always remember that if you wanted to create a container means we can say a machines, right? If you wanted to deploy or create any container, we need a container images.
Yeah.
Clear? Now,
Yeah.
so that's the like point. Now, again, we have two commands, podman, right? So with the help of this command, we can manage, maintain your containers and containers images.
Yeah.
Correct? Right? And then another command we have, that we have a scopio command. Okay, what is that? Simple, we can say in the case of containers, right? If you wanted to deploy in any applications, if you want to run any application, all those things, right? We need to verify that images are compatible or not, or something, or we can say another hand wanted to inspect those images, inspection we can say. So what I need, that scopio, right? The scopio is a command that inspect your images. Like again, wanted to download some images like something Ubuntu images, right? And if wanted to verify that image are correct or not, what changes inside these images and everything, right? Then you can use the
Mm-hmm.
scopio command to check or to inspect any images, right? Even though you can check or you can inspect the image with the help of podman command as well. So now what the difference between then podman and scopio? So podman only check or inspect the local images, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
have a local image that exists inside your system, then we can inspect or we can say check those images with the help of podman command, right? Scopio you can use or you can inspect online images. Online means it's not required to download those. It's not necessary that should be available inside your local system. You can directly define the URL of that machine. System automatically verify those images, or we can say inspects your images and all those things. Clear?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Clear? So these are two commands, especially podman that manage your container and all those things, and scopio that inspect any online images. It's not required to download those things. If you have a local images and all those things, then you can also verify those with, I mean, you can also inspect those with the help of podman command.
Okay. Yeah.
Clear? So
Yeah.
these are differences they are talking about that. So they are some virtual machines versus the containers. So there are some differences and all those things. Okay, and the feature we have like multi-container feature, single container. We can do that. Okay, so the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
chapter what we talk about, that the first chapter is overall the theory part. Okay, what is
Mm-hmm.
container, what is Docker, and what is the feature that what we learned earlier and what we talk about here with the help of Podman and Docker command. Okay, so
Yeah.
just go through this theory part, okay, and then if any problem occurred, then just let me know. Right
Yeah.
now, we have some small introductions of the Kubernetes and the OpenShift. Okay,
Yeah.
so you know the some concept of Kubernetes, OpenShift. What is the OpenShift and Kubernetes? Something.
Yeah, I mean, these are like container management tool
Mm-hmm.
in a like container orchestration engine, which manages the availability of the container. Like if some container crashes, then Kubernetes will build up another
So can we do with the
another
help of,
pod.
so can we do with the help of podman command? It's not possible.
No, yeah.
It's not possible. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So like Podman is like Docker, right? So like in Docker, you go to Docker Swarm to manage the orchestration.
Mm-hmm.
So Podman is like kind of Docker, and then you have multiple nodes. Then you have to build a orchestration engine, which is like Kubernetes or in Podman, OpenShift. Yeah. So, but
Mm-hmm.
OpenShift underlying uses the Kubernetes cluster, and it manages the load and health of monitors the health of each pod, and yeah. So it has more to the like the service mesh and yeah. So like I know little on a overall
Mm-hmm.
concept, but I need something practical. I want to have some
Okay.
hands-on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just let you know the differences. So we have like Kubernetes, okay, and then we have
Yeah.
OpenShift. We have two terms actually, OpenShift. Okay. So earlier to managing the containers, right? Container we can say is like a small VMs, but not exactly VM. But again, just remember that we have like VM, right? So to managing
Yeah.
our container, what we have that we have a Docker command, correct? Or Podman we can say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, so those command, like we can say the Podman and Docker command manage and maintain a container at a time. One container we can manage that, right? So let's suppose in your environment we have a thousands plus container, or we can say thousands plus applications, right? That are running inside that, correct,
Mhm.
right? So we
Yeah.
cannot manage, we cannot maintain that container with the help of podman command. Why? Or we can say docker, right? Why? Because docker command manage and maintain one container at a time, right? So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
need that type of concept or that type of tool that manage thousands or more than we can say container at a time, right? So in
Yeah.
that case google introduced an applications, we can say a kubernetes, right?
Yeah.
So Kubernetes we can say is like an open source container management tool. And when you talk about the terms like orchestration, it means what? That we can say automate those things, right?
Yeah.
Automation means what we can say, that we can say we have like lot of component inside to manage those things, like we can say the deployment configurations, pod, node, secret, config, replica set, lot of component that inside the Kubernetes and all those things, right? That manage your
Yeah.
containers. So we
Yeah.
need, right, because we are facing issues earlier, like if you have like a number of 10 or 20,000 plus container, then we cannot manage those container with the help of docker command, right? So we need a
Yeah.
centralized kind of tools or applications that manage your that manage your containers. That could be automate, might be, right? Again, like you earlier mentioned that if any container or pod goes down, then it automatically create a new one. We can say a self healing, right?
Yeah.
If you have a
Yeah.
getting a high load on the same thing, it automatically scale something like that, right?
Yeah.
Who will
Yeah.
maintain those things? Either you are a you are a user, you can maintain it manually. Either we have an option, you can maintain with the help of Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is like we can say is like a tool that manage your entire container. We can say sorry, Kubernetes we can say is like a managing your containers. It's like
Yeah.
open source, right? We can manage,
Yeah.
maintain all those things for the self healing, for automatic scaling, scale out with the help of different services and component. Okay. In
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
hand, we have like OpenShift, right? The OpenShift also we can say is depend on the Kubernetes actually. That is also we can say container orchestration or container management tool. Which one is OpenShift, right? That is
Mm.
managed and
Mm.
maintained by Red Hat,
Yeah.
maintained by Red Hat, right? It
Yeah.
means what? It means we can say this is like a enterprise applications label. Okay, we can say it's like a open source and all those things, right? Supports are available. It's not about the support and all those things, but in the OpenShift there's like lot of more security features compared to the Kubernetes, right? We can
Yeah.
customize, build as a user or as a company. If you have a license for the same from the Red Hat, then you can customize, right? But
Yeah.
again, both are a command that manage your containers, right? When we're talking about the differences and all those things, So mostly OpenShift for the enterprise level applications managing tools, right? That have a support and all those things you can customize, and there are a lot of security features, right? You can also manage both the tools with the help of graphically, right? But graphically, when we're talking about
Yeah.
the user-friendly graphical, so what I feel especially OpenShift is like more user-friendly, right? With the
Mhm.
help of their console, web console, we can automate entire Kubernetes infrastructures.
Yeah.
Clear with that, right? So
Yeah.
both are, we can say, container orchestrations or container management tool, right? Why these tools are come into the picture? Because in the case of container, if you have a like lot of container, then we cannot maintain those container with the help of Docker command. So we need
Mhm.
that type of tool, that type of technique that are managing your entire infrastructures automatically. That could be that could be any services, we can say self-healing or auto scaling, or that could be any reachability services, securities, policies, lot of things we have that. All the things are available inside the Kubernetes infrastructure, OpenShift infrastructures, right?
Yeah.
So that's the point. So that they are talking about the introductions part, okay? So it's like orchestration service that simplify the deployment, management, and scaling your container applications, right? And managing a complex pools of resources such as CPU, RAM, and all those things, right? And these are some features we can say for the load balancing, we can say for the HPA, self-healing, automated rollout, secret configuration map, operator, lot of things we have that,
Yeah.
right? Similarly, what is OpenShift then? We can say the same. RHOCP shortcut is set of module component and services that are built on the top of Kubernetes, right? Container infrastructure.
Yeah.
Red Hat OpenShift container platform add compatibility to the productions platforms such as a remote management, multi-tenancy, increase security monitoring, and all those things. We can do that, right? And these are some
Yeah.
features. We can use the CI/CD pipelining. Then we can create a route. We can monitor those things. We have like user interface and all those things. We can do that. This like a differences and all those things,
Yeah.
right? So these are some policies and way, right? When we're talking about the life cycle of applications, right? What we have there, you can define a pod, then pod are assigned to the nodes, and then nodes are running with some containers and all those things, right? Pod run until there are container existing, then pod and their containers are removed from the node. These are like some policies and way where you can deploy those, right? So let's suppose we have
Yeah.
a like pod. Inside the pod, what is pod? We can say a collections or group of containers,
Content. Yeah.
right? So if any pod goes down, then we can simply detach, attach, and all those things we can do that, right?
Yeah.
This like a policy, that's like a ways. So again, these are like some theory part is over the first chapter, right? What they talk about that same. So when we're talking about the theory and all those things, they simple talk about the podman, the simple Docker, not in the deep and dive. Then we have a
Mhm.
containers. Then we have some theory part about the Kubernetes, and then we talk about the OpenShift.
Okay.
Clear with that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, containers, when we're talking about the 188 courses, container, they'll talk about the containers in the deep and dive, right? How we can manage container with the different mechanisms. So same we can say container is like a lightweight VMs, not exactly VM, but again VM that have all the resources, all the component, right? That help to build your application or to run your applications, right? In that we
Yeah.
can choose that which process should be run. You can choose accordingly, like I want to run this process, that process, accordingly you can choose that thing, choose that things,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, so in the chapter number second, what we have that simple, they talk about how we can create and container with the help of podman command, right? So now
Yeah.
jumping on the lab environment, right? You can, even though you can perform this lab over the local system, not a problem, but I'll let you know here, not a problem, right? So let's suppose
Yeah.
what we have that again, you wanted to configure those things to make sure package should be installed. In my case, package is by default installed.
Mhm.
Okay, right? Wanted to verify something, you can verify the package with the help of this particular command. Okay, now, so again, if you wanted to create a container, so what environment we have container means, I'm talking about this parameter. I'm talking about this parameter, right? Because we have a
Yeah.
hardware, we have a OS, and then we have a container engine.
Yeah.
Correct, right? Now I wanted to create a container. So let's suppose I wanted to create a container with the something like Ubuntu, I wanted to create an Ubuntu OS machine and all those things, right? So what the first process we have that if you wanted to create some container, make sure that container image should be available inside your machines, right? If it's not available, then system automatically download those and then it will automatically create for the same thing, right? So let's suppose I
Yeah.
wanted to verify some images. So in my case, I don't have any images yet. You can use this command to check the images. Either you can use podman image ls to check any images.
Okay.
Correct, right? Now, so we have some, we can say, open or free available portal. From there, we can pull or we can download a container images, right? Similarly, for your company and all those things, they have their own private repository. We can say over the Git, GitHub, and all those things, SVN, and all those things, where we can, from where we can pull those images,
Yeah.
right? Right. So, what point we have that again? What point we have that? We have some trusted, or we can say open source. We can say we have the like Docker Hub, right? We have a Red Hat.io.
Mm.
Okay. We have a Q.io. We can download from the CentOS org. Okay, also we have access.redhat.com, right? We can say we have like fedora.org. So lot of we can see a portal, right? From there we can pull the images. Wanted to verify those images are available or not. What I can do, I can simple explore Docker Hub, right?
So the Docker Hub images will work in Podman.
Yeah, of course. It's not about the
Okay.
command and all those things. Images could be anything. That should be a container images. Okay. So
Okay.
here we are searching those images. If you notice now, we have an official image of Ubuntu, right? That updated 7 days ago, and it's like in good rating, 1,000, 1+ billion downloaded, and 10,000 plus, yeah, plus rating. We have that, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And these are a command they mentioned that even though you can use Docker, or either you can use Podman.
Podman. Okay.
Okay. So if you want to download those things, what I'm going to use that command, simple Podman pull and which image? Ubuntu, correct? Right now there is a questions inside that, like we are just simple mention podman pull ubuntu, right? So where is that mention? It will download from your Docker Hub, right? It can be downloaded from anywhere. Either you want to change, how we can change that, right? So once you install those package, right, we got this config file, right? When we install the Docker or Podman package, we got this configuration file inside this particular node, right? Inside this config file, that is mentioned that from where you can pull the container
Yeah.
images,
Okay.
correct? Right? So if you just go inside that, okay, slightly down, and here we got on options.
You can.
Clear? Right? So when we run this command, which command? Podman pull ubuntu, right? It will automatically search that, like from where it will available, and then accordingly it will download that, right?
Okay.
Just hit
Yeah.
enter, that's all. If you notice now, it's trying to download from the Docker Hub, or we can say the Ubuntu images and all those things is downloaded. Clear? So if you notice now, here we got an image. Here we got an image, that name is something Ubuntu, and 3 weeks ago we can say, and the size is simple 18 MB. When you talk about the traditional image, it will be like 5 to 6 GB, right? And this like a simple, we can say 18 and all those things for the images, right? And now with the help
Okay.
of this image, you wanted to create a container, then you can create that. How? So command remains same. If you wanted to verify, we don't have any container yet, podman ps, right? Either we don't have any stopped container yet. I don't have anything, right? Wanted to create, so what command we have that? Podman run -it interact terminal in detached mode. The name I'm going to put it some like VM1. That is my container name. And from which image? Ubuntu. Clear with that?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm going to create a container, or we can say a VM. What command we have that? Podman run interact terminal in the background detached mode. The name I'm just putting of my container as a VM1. If you not mention the name, system automatically provide us any random name. And from which image? Your image name.
Okay.
right? Hit enter. If you notice now, here we got in container with the help of podman piece, you can verify that. Here we got a container ID, the images, the time, date and time, and then the machine's name, right? Wanted to perform something, wanted to go inside this container, like I'm talking about this parameter, right? So we are inside this particular, so now we are here. Wanted to go inside this container, so what command I have that? You can simply run command like podman execute -it in which system? One, and then give me a shell. If you hit enter, now we got a container ID. Earlier we are on the base machines, now we are inside my containers. Clear with that?
Yeah.
And this is my, if I wanted to verify this OS, and so this is my Ubuntu base machines. Okay. My workstation machines are, we can say, that is my RHEL 8.6 versions, right? That is my base machines. Now if you go inside these machines, what we have that? We are inside this particular Ubuntu machines. Clear with that? Wanted to perform
Yeah.
some task and all those things that are going to deploy inside which machines? Inside this particular base machines. This one.
Yeah.
Clear? Right? That's a process. Similarly, wanted to exit, you can exit that. That's a process. Wanted to verify, again your container is still in running state. Right? So what command we have that again? Sorry. So what command we have that? Again, we have this command. If you not mention any name like that, so what happened? It will create a container with any random name. With
Yeah.
any random name. Right? If you notice now, here we got something name. If you notice now, podman PS, here we got a name, something like something youthful. What is that? Youthful RD something whatever. Right? That's okay. Now problem is that we cannot change the name with the help of podman or docker command. Right?
Yeah.
Clear with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I wanted to remove those things. You can simply remove the container like podman rm, and then either you can mention the name of your containers, either you can mention the IDs, right? But still we are getting
Okay.
error
Yeah.
message. Why getting error? So they are mentioned that your container is in running state. Okay. So we can remove that stopped container. Okay. If you want to remove that, then you can use this force option. The proper way what we have that, first is stop your container with the help of this command. Okay. And then remove it. Either you don't want to stop directly remove, then you can simply mention -f. That's all. It means what? It means you are removing the running containers.
Yeah.
Clear? If you notice now, podman PS, so we don't have any container running. Either we don't have any stopped container yet. Why, right? Wanted to stop, then you can mention this podman is stop, and then your container name like VM1. Okay. If you notice now, we have not any running containers.
Yeah.
Okay. But I say in the stop state existing 4 seconds ago. Wanted to start, then you can simple podman start, and then your container name, it start that. Okay. Wanted to verify, you can use the same command like podman ps to check that we have running containers. That's all. This is a simple process. Clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Clear? Now, the next what we have that the process remains same. What command we have that? Podman run -it detach --- name something name, and then which image Ubuntu. Now, one more point I mentioned earlier. If you have not a local images, right? Then your podman first download image, and then it will create the container, right? I'll show you that. Let me remove all the containers. So I don't have any container yet. Okay. And I don't have any. Okay, and I don't have any images yet. Okay. So notice now, podman PS, I don't have any container running and stop, and I don't have any images yet. Right? So earlier what we mentioned that first download image, like first you have to mention podman pull and then image name like that. Okay. Either another word, I'm not going to mention the images pooling status. I'm simply mentioning podman run hyphen it hyphen detach hyphen name something and then ubuntu. It means what? It means
Mm.
if in your local machine this image is not available, then this command itself download image first and then it will create a container for you. Clear?
Mm.
If you
Mm.
notice now, hit enter. If you notice now, first it's trying to pull and then it will create a container for you.
Okay. Where it is saving those images,
Oh,
like
so
locally?
that store inside all the things stored inside this particular path where live containers.
Okay.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clear with that? Yeah, just a second. I mean, just a second, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clear with that? Right? Yeah. I'm audible, right? Just confirm yes, no? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So what I mentioned that like if you not downloaded the image locally and if you simply create a container, right? The first it will download a container for you and then it will create that. If you wanted to verify, then you can verify the podman images. We have a images as well and then we have a container as well. That's a process. Correct? Right? Now, the
Yeah.
next what we have that earlier we mentioned without name. If you not mention something name, it will create a container for any random name. Right now, what about the D means? D means we can say detached mode. If you not mention the D options, am I right? Am I right? Right? So how you pronounce your name? I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Amia. Amia only.
Amir.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are from West Bengal or what?
Odisha.
Okay. So you're from Orissa. Okay. So most of my friends are in the West Bengal, so their surname is Das. So I think
Yeah.
that you are
Yeah. They
from
are
West
also.
Bengal.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I mentioned that yeah again if you not mention the D options, right, it means what? It will create a container for you, right, and automatically switch inside the container. What earlier we have that first create a container and then you need to run command like podman execute and all those commands earlier, right? Now, if not mention the D option, it means I'm going to create a container like hyphen name and VM2. It means what? I'm creating a container with the name of VM2, but I'm not mentioning the D option. It means what? It means it's automatically create a container and then switch inside the container. If you notice now, like that. Now we are in container,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But now what happened, like when you exit from this container, your container in a stop state, right? If you wanted to verify,
Mhm.
we have not any running container with the name of VM3 is
Mhm.
in stop status,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
So in detached mode, it will be on a different thread and
It will run
it
in
will
the
run.
backend. It will run in the backend.
Backend.
Correct,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So wanted to start those things, then you need to start manually, like with the help of podman start and VM3 in that VM2. Sorry, the name is VM2. Okay, right? Now, if you notice now in the podman PS, here is in the start status. Clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are a process with the help of this command. You need to remember those things. What options I need to mention that with D or without D, with name or without name. Clear? Now, the next what we have that we need to create a container. If you notice now we have a container, all those containers are we have that, right? But these containers are not in, they don't have any port, or we can say not in the publicly, right? Wanted to create a container in public, let's suppose, then how we can create that? So let's suppose I wanted to create a container, something like for the Nginx application, right? So let me download an
Mhm.
application from the Nginx something, right? Okay, so I wanted to create a container with the help of Nginx. Let me download from the Docker Hub. Okay, and allow something port number. Okay, so what
So
syntax we
how you
have?
are changing? How you have changed from Docker to, I mean, from Fedora to Docker?
These are options you can drag and drop. I'll show you.
Oh,
Just
okay,
listen.
okay, okay.
So if you run this command, it will be prompting for you that right. We are changing from the choosing from the Nginx. So it will download from the Nginx. There is options you can simple drag and drop. Right? You
Mhm.
can choose the option. There is a drag and drop option. You can choose that. Clear?
Okay, okay,
Right now,
yeah.
if you notice we have a images with the name of something Nginx, correct? Now wanted to create an application that could be OS and all those things. So what command we have that podman run -it in detached mode. The name I'm going to mention something like something public VM, anything you can mention that. Okay, and mention -p for the publish and port. What I mentioned that 8001 something and 80 for which image? Nginx. Clear with that?
Yeah. What is the name is public VM? Okay,
The name of this container should be public VM. Not should be, we can
okay.
just mention the name. Okay, and P stand
Mhm.
for I'm publishing, or we are assigning the port number,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So 8001 is my node port number, we can say my physical port number, and 80 is my container port number. Means what I'm trying
Okay.
to say, right?
No,
Let's
I got it.
suppose,
Like
yeah,
that.
you got that.
Yeah,
We have physical machines, inside we have a containers, right?
yeah.
So that port number is 8001, and inside port number is 80, right? It means
Yeah.
if traffic comes over the port 8001, it will redirect to the port 80,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So if you wanted to verify, hit enter. Wanted to verify, here we got a container podman ps. If I wanted to verify, let me show that. Here we have that. Okay, so what we have that all the IPs version 4, 8001 and 80. Okay,
Yeah.
it means wanted to access those applications. Let me open the browser. In the exams, Amia, right, what they are mentioning, you need to create those applications, and then applications produce some output with some port number. They mention that. So always check and verify, right? Here I'm going to use something localhost, and which port number I'm using, that 8001. That application should be
Hmm.
accessible. It's
Hmm.
not host, it's a host, right? So application should be accessible like that.
Okay.
Clear with that?
Hmm.
Right? So always remember that what process we have there. Process remains same. We have some commands, we have some tools, right? We can create with name, without name, in detached mode or not in detached mode, we can say, and in the public or in the private.
Hmm.
So a lot of options, lot
Okay.
of way we have that. Accordingly, we can create, manage, maintain your applications and applications process.
Hmm. Hmm.
Clear? So these
So
things, yeah.
in exam, like it will be a practical exam or
Practical
it will
exam.
be like what?
No, no, it's a
Okay.
practicals. There is a So you give an exam, Red Hat exam before that or not?
No, no. Mm.
Okay. So all the Red Hat exams are practical based. Okay. They
Mm-hmm.
have some question. They'll give you questions. I mean scenario based questions. You need to perform those things, right? So 188 exam
Okay.
is too easy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is only 6 questions and the timing is 2.5 hours, right? Like I'll let you know. So when you're talking about the exam code is EX188. That's like training code and that's exam code. Okay. So
Mm.
total we have a 2.5 hours. Okay.
Okay.
There are 6 questions only. These are like two small questions. You will complete in maximum 1 hours. Okay. Total score is 300 and passing score is 210. You need to clear those 70% we can say.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so these all are
And
a practical based session. You need to perform. You need to perform these in the exams as well.
okay. Okay. And I'm located in UK, so will that be an issue? Like I mean, they will validate my identity card, and
Not a
so I have
problem.
my
You
PAN
can
card.
give exam from anywhere. Not a problem. So you have your
Yeah.
which identity you have? You have Indian identity or UK what?
No, I'm still Indian citizen, so
Uh-huh.
I have my PAN card and my
No, not
passport
a
is also
problem.
there.
No, not a problem. You can simply show them your passport. That's all. Not a problem.
Okay,
Because you are not
because
going
for
to give exam at any center, I think so. You are giving exam at your home, remote exam, I mean.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's
yeah.
not required to show some their I mean UK citizenship kind of thing. Not required. You can simple whatever the name over your Red Hat account. Okay, simple show them
Mm-hmm.
the ID. That's all. Not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, for Prince 2 and ITIL, I approached an organization in India. They said like you need to buy a voucher from UK because India voucher will not be validated. So, I mean, they have a different pricing for India, for different pricing for UK, and so similarly, like in this,
No, in that case, what
there
they
is
can do, they can simple change their reasons and all those things. It will allowed. It's not a problem. Yeah, I
okay,
know that the
okay,
pricing may be different, even though same you are using the Indian and all those, the prices may be differ, correct? I got that point, right? But in the same case,
mm-hmm.
whenever you create account over the Prince 2 or something ITL foundations or might be from the Red Hat, right? Then simple choose your
Mm-hmm.
reason, like I belongs in these regions, that's all. And then you can give
Okay.
exam from anywhere entire
No,
the globe because the
but
exams are available globally. Uh-huh.
But like are those when they will? I mean, I appeared in some of the Azure course, and do they sense my IP and all, which
No, 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 no,
it
no,
is
no, it's not like that.
okay,
It's not
okay,
like that.
okay,
Mostly of the candidate like who are from like UK, US and all those things in the European and all though, right? Like who belongs to
yeah,
India citizens, right? All they are giving exam from Indian location, not a problem. Because
yeah,
the
yeah.
exam are
I
globally
mean,
available. It's not about the IP
yeah,
tracking and all those things, right?
yeah. I mean, since they have this restriction, right? I don't see like I'm not a UK citizen. Why I should pay 4 times of that cost and
Yeah, yeah.
do
The,
this?
the same the same questions asked for many candidates.
Yeah,
That's why we are saying that whenever you create account over this
yeah,
portal, like over the Red Hat or somewhere
mm,
else, right? Choose your
yeah,
reasons. I mean, choose your country. That's all.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Even though you can also ask them like at that time I was in India. At that time when I
Mm,
booked the exam. Now I was in
mm,
now I am in UK. So what's the problem?
mm,
Not a problem,
mm. Yeah,
right?
okay.
Even though your name also like Indian citizens and all those things, so it's not going to impact
Yeah.
on us. So it's not a problem like that. Even though a for any exam I'm talking about that, not about the Red Hat. Even though
Mhm.
for any
Mhm.
examinations you can simple check your reasons. I mean all those things, and accordingly you need to pay that. That's simple,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
all exams are available globally. Globally means the remote
Mhm.
exam are available, right? It's not
Yeah.
about the any specific center like you need to go over the center. They will ask some questions. Not about that, right? Simple.
Mhm.
Open your
Mhm.
laptop, start your exam. That's all. Because internet and all those
Mhm.
are available some anywhere entire the world. So they're not going to verify
Mhm.
those IP tracking and all. No, they're not going to verify those
Mhm.
things. So you can ignore
Okay.
that.
Okay. Okay.
Correct? Yeah. So
Yeah.
the exam is too easy. It's like a practical based exam, okay? And there is only
Mhm.
6 questions. We'll discuss that. We have a sample question for the same. We'll discuss that how you can go through the exams. Correct, right? So what we learn now. So we simple talk about the how we can create a containers, right? with and without port, with the different commands and all those things, right? So these
Yeah.
commands are mentioned here as well, like how we can expose the port, how we can list, stop, delete containers with the help of podman command, what they are mentioning there, right? So there is a command as well, you can verify those, you can pull those images. The command are mentioned here, you can check that. Podman images, right? You can check that, you can create a containers and all those things. So all those commands are there mentioned here. To checking the all the container, you can use the podman ps -a or hyphen all, just like a shortcut and
Okay.
all those things, right?
Mhm.
These are command still, you can check that. Okay, wanted to expose those container, you can mention the port number, right? The left one for
Mhm.
the your node, and that is for the container, and then the image name. Okay,
Mhm.
that's a point. And then want to run in the backend and all those things, if you want to run the content in the background to avoid the terminal being blocked, you can use the hyphen detach options, d options I mean. Okay,
Mhm.
similarly, so these are some different environment, we'll discuss that the environment how we can do that, right? And these are like lab for you, you can practice over your labs and all those things, right?
Okay.
So in this
Yeah.
lab what we have, that first download the private images, verify those
Mhm.
images, create a container something, verify the containers, then delete it once again, verify those things and all this process, just like
Yeah.
process.
So does Podman has Windows
Container,
installer also?
docker you can configure over the Windows.
Yeah, but Podman, if I want to try with Podman, I
Podman
need to have a
basically, yeah,
Linux.
no, yeah, Podman basically recommendations for the Linux based machines, right?
Okay. Okay.
Docker you can
Yeah.
configure, Docker install on Windows based machine, you can install. These are like official,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
one
The
exe file
Docker
you
I
can
have.
configure.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the Podman, I think it's not there. Let me verify one more time.
Okay. The WSL it is using.
PowerShell, yeah, PowerShell you can do that.
Mm.
But the recommendation is that always use for your
Mm.
Linux based
No, it
machines.
is using WSL like Windows Subsystem Linux. So,
Mm-hmm.
so if you enable in Windows, the Linux will be installed. So, and then you can use. So, I think through that it is.
Through, yeah, that's how like possible you can do that, yeah. And that's like
Okay.
process, yeah.
So,
So these tool you can
okay.
need to configure, yeah. So like dependencies we can do that. We can say WSL and all those
Mm.
things.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that's about the chapter, chapter number this one, right? We'll discuss, not now, we'll discuss networking tomorrow, right? So we'll
Okay.
complete in
Okay.
5 to 4 days, and then we'll start practicing all those things. Then let me know any doubt occurred.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any questions
Can you
so far now?
share this? Can you share this PDF?
Yeah, I'll share with this
So
PDF,
I
not a
will have.
problem. Right? I'll
Okay.
share this
Okay.
PDF
Thank.
with you, and also I'll share the recording session for the same, right? Over the
Okay.
LMS.
Yeah.
You just create an account over the LMS, then I'll upload over the LMS. You can also check anytime whenever you are available.
Okay,
Okay?
okay. So where maybe I
So you
don't
need
have
to
that
create
portal.
account over the LMS. That's like a link. That's like our portal.
Okay.
Okay. Just
Hmm.
create account over this lms.webasha.com. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, then we'll upload those same recording without any changes over this LMS, and then you can check anytime whenever you want.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, okay, yeah, then we'll start tomorrow the same at 12
Yeah.
o'clock 11:30, what time you are okay with that?
Um, I mean, if you are free at 7:30, I mean 12, 11:30, then I'm okay.
Okay, I'll ping you
But
accordingly, not a problem, I'll ping you accordingly.
yeah,
I'll
because I have to drop my kids and all to school.
uh,
So if you say like yes, I mean the other class is like you can start at 7:30. I'll be there. Like we'll end by now, so I can drop them. Or if you say no, I mean that class is taking time, so then well and good with this time also. Like I will ask someone to drop them.
no,
Not a problem.
okay, no problem, I'll ping you accordingly, yeah, I'll ping you accordingly.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, okay then,
Okay.
yeah, bye bye, yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Bye.